Hello and welcome. So today we're gonna be talking about item tier list. Let's see. So in this game there will be plenty of items that you can unlock. Wait, the game is not loaded yet. So let's see here. There will be 5, 10, 15, 18. There will be 91 items in total, and I will try to make a tier list of them all based on what I've experienced with them. So let's just get to going real quick, and let's see here. Where's gone? There he is. So we're gonna be talking about all of these items, and I'll try to rank them as best as I can, and we'll be ranking them from rocket boosts up to wingspan over here. So let's check from rocket boots. Rocket boots is a common item. It is an active items, so it will take up your active item slots, and in this game you can have up to 5 active items. Wait, let's get the description back again. And it is a boost item which gonna gain you 50% boost for 5 seconds, and it has 20-second cooldowns. And for these items with that many boosts and such low cooldowns, it's actually gonna be really helpful. And since it is a common tier item, it won't be priced as much, and for this item I will rank it as S tier for the rocket boots. So for the next item in our list will be energy last. It is another active items, but this item is in epic class, and it works just like the Hires javelins, which you can grapple onto stuffs. But these items won't cost you any energy, and it has 40-second cooldowns, so it's a mobility items. Well, I never really use much of it, but since if you get hang to it quite enough, I think you can get proper use for it. But for these items I will rank it as C tier for the first item, for the energy last. Now on to the next item in our list. The next item will be the replenishing file. Is yet another active items. It is a common item, and it will restore 100 health for you when you use it, but it has 100-second cooldowns, which is pretty long to have. It is quite handy to have for survivability items, but other than that it won't really matter that much. And For this replenishing file, I will rank it as another C tier in our list. So on to our next item. The next item in our list is Mysterious Spring. It is yet another active items. It is a rare items and it will make your Zoe jump upwards, as the description says, gain a burst of speed upwards, so it will work like the Sage Skull, and it has 30-second cooldowns. So if you use Sage Skull, it is actually a much better version than these items, but since it may come in handy from time to time, but it kinda really situational on how you use it. For that, I'll gonna rank this item as D tier. So on to our next list, it is the standard redirector. It is yet another active item. It is a rare item and it will redirect velocity toward our looking direction, so it works just like the Wraith Hourglass ability, but it won't have that slow motion effect, nor that it will charge when used. So for this item, you actually just tap this item and it will immediately redirect into wherever the direction your camera is pointing at. It has 30-second cooldowns. It is quite useful item for me personally, and yeah, the item that can change trajectory is really useful to have, so I think I'm gonna put it in our B tier list over here. So let's see here, standard redirect. It's in B tier. So on to our next item. The next item will be Personal Matter Stabilizer. It's a rare item and is yet another active item. This item will grant you invulnerability for 10 seconds and it has a 120 cycle cooldowns. The invulnerability is really great to have, but the cooldown of this item is really long. So unless you really need that 10 seconds of invulnerability, this item won't be matter that much. But once you do really need those 10 seconds of invulnerability, this item will be great to have in your possession. So I think I'm just gonna put this item in C tier, I suppose. So let's see here, where's the items? Personal Matter Stabilizer. So let's go on to our next item. The next item is the time dilation thing. So this item will slow down time and increase your maneuverability for 5 seconds. And it is an epic item. It has 15-second cooldown, but other than slowing times, it won't really do that much. And personally, I don't really like this item, so for me this item will be in the E tier. So what's the item called again? Time dilation thing. And on to our next item in this list. So let's see here, we gonna have Spark Dasher. So Spark Dasher is on active. It will dash through nearby sparks for 2 seconds and you will be granted with 90% damage reduction while dashing. It has 20-second cooldowns, and honestly I've never used this item, so I don't know much about it. So I assume the dash will keep linking onto the nearby sparks for 2 seconds, but since the sparks will be generated randomly and sometimes it will put yourself in rather dangerous positions, I don't think this is a great item to have, so I'm gonna put this Spark Dasher in yet another E tier of our list. And now on to our next item. So the next item will be our first legendary item to review. This item is the Blood Engine. It's another active items. When used, you're gonna lose 5 health, but you're gonna gain 10% boost for 5 seconds, and it have 0.1 seconds cooldown. So the item itself is not quite useful, but if you happen to have this Blood Engine, and let's see, what does it call, and you have this impact activated healing drone over here, it's gonna be a really great combo, since when you took damage from activating this Blood Engine, it will trigger this drone over here and it will restore 5 health for you. And since they have same cooldown, so they can be repeatedly used together. So yeah, this item for me is really situational, unless you really have a strong regeneration build or really tanky build, or you have this impact activated healing drone in your possession. You really won't be using that 10% boost much, and for that I'm gonna give this item a D tier. Let's hop onto our next item. So the next item is a rare item. It is called Velocity Powered Sirens. It is an active item and you can only activate it when you go faster than 120 meters per second, and when you use it you're gonna restore 20 health, and it has 12-second cooldown. So this velocity power sirens is, for me, is much better version than the replenishing files, but since it has that 120 meter per second limits on it, it makes sense that it heals more and has less cooldown than this replenishing file over here. But since when you get hang of this game, obtaining 120 meter per second is really not that hard to do, and yeah, it can actually be a really good healing item to have. So I think I'm gonna put this item in B tier, velocity power sirens. Now let's hop on to our next item in this list. We have another legendary item, this experimental autopilot. So it says here that on active it will automatically tries to avoid obstacles, and you can activate it every 10 seconds. But on my experience, I think these items will try to avoid any obstacle even though you don't activate it. So it's supposed to be an active item, but somehow it works like a passive items, and that automatic avoid obstacle thing is not that great as it sounds, since sometimes it will avoid the obstacle but will put your Zoe in much worse situation that it currently are facing. So these items, sadly I'm gonna put this item in E tier, since yeah, if only we can choose when we activate these items, but since currently it will always be active and it will try to avoid any obstacles in our way, this makes these items really bad to have. But if we can activate these items and the effect is only active when we activate it, it can really be useful item to have. So yeah, I think for now it will still be in E tier list. Experimental autopilot. So let's hop on to our next item. So the next item is Grunt's helmet. So this item have been around since the demo, and it is buffed from the demo versions, but how it works is pretty much the same. It is a rare item. It activates every time you do a perfect landings. So as you can see there, it says it's triggered, so the effect will only be triggered when you do a perfect landings, and it will grant you invulnerability for 10 seconds. No, for 1 second. So in the demo version, the invulnerability is actually just 0.3 or 0.5 seconds, but in this full game, it actually buffed into 1 second, which is really great. And I actually use this item to beat the second phase of the snake, and it works really well in there, since you can easily get those perfect landings, and those invulnerability enables you to maneuver quite easily from those laser beams attacks. So for me, this ground helmet will be in A tier, since it will grant a huge boost in our survivabilities. So let me Grunt's helmet is in A tier. So let's went on to our next item in the list. It is the protective medallion. So it is a rare item and it is a triggered item. So every time you took damage, there is 20% chance for you to ignore those damage. So this is our first percentage based item, our first percentage chance based items to review. So this item can be boosted by this luck generating item, like this overly complicated coins, or this n-dimensional leaf clover, or what else is the other item, is this 400 leaf clover. I think there's one more luck item. Let's see here, I kind of forgot what it is. I think this is, no, it's not that one. Let's see, which is the other luck item. It is supposed to increase our luck. Well, there is the heart-shaped mirror. So these luck items over here will increase the likeliness of this percent chance item to trigger, and yeah, when you do have these percent chance items, you also want to get some luck as well, so that you can trigger this item more often. But on face value, those 20% chance to ignore damage will not really be that dependable, and I think this Grun's helmet will gonna be better, since you can really control where you can do those perfect landings and stuff. Or even our next item will be much better than this, in my opinion. So for that, I think I'm gonna put this item in D tier, the protective medallion. So let's go on to our next item in the list. The next item is Impulse Active Stabilizer. So it is a triggered item. So every time not every time, it will trigger when we took damage, and once it triggers, it will goes on cooldown period. So it will grant us invulnerability for 0.5 seconds, and yeah, for me it is much better version than this protective medallion, since it is a guaranteed invulnerabilities, but since it has 40-second cooldown, you really don't want to get hit as much. But I think you can manage to avoid hits for every 40 seconds. So this items is really viable, and if you happen to get some cooldown reduction items, like, let's see here, which are the items. No, not that. No, not that, not that. Where is that? Ah, like this item, the atomic timepiece, which gonna reduce 1 second to all cooldown every time we do a perfect landings, or this general relativity, which gonna reduce 0.1 second to all cooldowns per 10% of boost, or even this overwound pocket watch, which gonna reduce 1 second cooldowns every 3 seconds. We're gonna took those 40 seconds away much faster. And let's see, did I already rank? No, I haven't ranked that. So for these items, I'm gonna put it in our B tier over here. Impulse Active Stabilizer. So just a quick disclaimer, this review is purely based on my opinion. It will probably differs than what you guys gonna think about these items. So even when I put some items in E or D tier, you can still get some use of those items. So please don't take these reviews on its face values. So just take this review as a reference. And let's see, let's get on to our next item. It is the painful coil. So the painful coil over here will gonna grant us 0.3% boost per missing health. So the missing health over here is actually the number of HP that you've lost. So let's see, when we start a fresh game, we start the game fresh, Zoe will gonna have 80 HP. So if Zoe is left with 1 HP, the 0.3% will gonna be multiplied by 79, since Zoe has lost 79 health there. And let's see how much that is. That gonna be, let me just get some calculator real quick over here. Calculator. So what was that? 79 times 0.3. So in total you're gonna have 23.7% boost. Well, it is not really great, and it is an epic item, but since when you want to get most of it, it will actually gonna put you in much more dangerous situations, since this item will be most effective when you have 1 health remaining. But with 1 health remains, it will really gonna be dangerous for your run, since you can actually got hit by anything. And even so, if you like forgot that you have this plot engine and you activate it, it will immediately kill your run. Or even like any other item like this, you can lose health. Like, what else is the items over here? Like this, you can lose health also. Yeah, with that many boost for that so huge risk that you can take, this painful coil, even though it is a boost items, it will gonna go over the E tier. So unless they really gonna boost those percentage up more, like I think 1% will gonna be more viable. So let's see here. So if we happen to count in when we have 100 health, so yeah, even with 100 health, it will only generate us 29.7% boost, which is not really that great. But if you happen to have like big squash or big pumpkin over here, which will increase your max health, I think you can use this item better. But I don't think this item will grant us more benefit effects rather from its risk that it gave. So yeah, I think E tier is really suited for this item, unless they bump those boost number up to like 1% or even 2%. If they bump those boost percent up, I think it will go to C or even B tier. But personally, I really want to avoid this item so much, since to get your health really that low, you're really gonna put yourself in really risky situations. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about this painful coil over here. Painful coil is E tier in my opinion. So let's get to the next item over here. The next item is well-earned confidence. It is the well-earned confidence. It is a triggered item. It will grant us 2.5% boost for each consecutive perfect landing. So when you have this item, the item itself will gonna have a counter on it, and every time you do a perfect landings, it will increase more and more. So if you happen have like 20 stacks on it, it will grant you 50% boost. So yeah, it's pretty much like free rocket boost over here, rocket boots over here. It is really great item to have, but you really want to train your perfect landing really well to actually maximize how this item is used. And I think this item will be, let's see, I really want to put it in A tier, but since we can easily mess up our landings, yeah, okay. I think this item will go to A tier, since the better you are at your landings, the better the effect of these items. So I think A tier is suitable for this. And since it don't have any caps on it boost, so you can really go like 100% boost to 100% boost. So yeah, this item really great item to have. Confidence, so I think A tier is really suitable for that. So Next item in our list is Booster Pog. So Booster Pog over here. Let me just put this tier up first. Booster Pog is a passive item which gonna grant you 30% boost per 100 sparks that you have. And really, for me, these items feel really broken since you have this many items that can generate sparks for you. And let's see which is the item, like this item that will grant you 10 spark every 100 meter that you run, and Jackpot which have chance to grant 100 spark on every perfect landings, or even which is the other one, let's see here. It's kinda roundish shape, not shimmering condenser, not bitter hurt. I kept forgetting which the item was. It is the item which grants you 100. This is the void compressor. So every time you enter a fragment or every time you do a run, it will grant you 100 sparks. So that means a free 3% boost for each level. And yeah, since this item don't have any cap as well, so if you happen to have 1,000 sparks in your possession, it will gonna grant you 300% boost, and it will always give you those 300% boost since it is a passive item, unlike this rocket boost over here, since when you activate it, it will only last for 5 seconds. So yeah, this item is really great to have, and I don't think S tier is over exaggerate for these items. So let me just type it here real quick. Booster Pog S tier. So let's go on to our next item. So the next item is another epic item. It is a repeating item, and it is called Pungent Herb. So every time it went off cooldown, it will gonna grant you 10% chance to restore 100% of your health. So unlike this replenishing file over here which only restore 100 health, this item over here will fully heal yourself regardless of how much your max health will gonna be. So like if you happen to have 10 of these big pumpkins and 10 of these big squash, so let's see, 600 granted with another 500 max health. So yeah, it will actually gonna put your health above 1,000 already. So this, every time you have those chance to trigger that restore 100% health, regardless of how much your health is, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 or so, it will automatically fully heal yourself. And it is a really great sustainability item or survivability item, and this effect will be much better if you happen to grab this luck increasing item over here, but not this heart-shaped mirror, since this heart-shaped mirror will only active when you have full health, and you really want to trigger the effect of this pungent hurt when you don't have your health in full. So yeah, this and this, even though their effect is like complementing each other, but how they works is contradicting one another. So when you grab this pungent hurt, for the lock item that you won't get is any other lock item beside this heart-shaped mirror over here. So oh yeah, I forgot to tier this item. So this pungent herb over here, I think I'm gonna put it in B tier, I suppose, since even though it is great to fully heal yourself, but most of your runs you will only gonna have 100 max health unless you find these items here and you really want to go for tanky build. But for most runs you really want to grab like this fixed restorability items. So yeah, pungent herb over here is B tier for me. So let's go on to our next item. Oh, we have went to our second row over here. So the next item is a common item. It is shortcut. So on close call you're gonna gain 10% boost for 2 seconds. So close call is when you pass really close to an obstacle, so like those rocks, those cactus, those icicles and stuff. And since it is a triggered item, it has no cooldowns onto it. So if you happen to pass multiple close call, it will trigger again and again. So like if you trigger it 3 times in quick succession, it will gonna gain you 30% boost, and if you happen to get 5 close call in a row, it will gonna grant you 50% boost. But the risk of getting those close call is really risky in my opinion, so I think it will be still better to just grab this rocket boost over here rather than risking yourself to go over those 5 close calls, since if you happen to miss any of those close calls, you're gonna run onto those obstacles and you're gonna lose your speed instead. So let's see, I think I'm gonna put this item, I think it will still go in B tier, since well, boost item is really not that bad, and especially when you get hang to those close call, it will really gonna be better. But for me personally, rather than getting this shortcut, there's much other option to get that 10% boost. So yeah, this shortcut over here we're gonna go onto our B tier, shortcut B. Well, let's go on to our next item on our list. We're gonna have tight schedule. So it's an epic item. It is yet another close call item, but the effect is to reduce 0.25 to all cooldowns. So this item over here, even though it is quite similar to the shortcut, but this one will really depend on what cooldown items that you have. So like if you don't have any cooldown items, like if you only have this shortcut, this, which are the other item, like this painful coil, this will earn confidence, this booster pop, this item won't do anything for you. But if you happen to have like this, no, not that, this impulse active stabilizer, this pungent herb, or this personal matter stabilizer, it will really gonna help those items to get activate much more often. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna put this tight schedule in D tier, even though it's really supporting any other item, but on itself it really don't do anything for you. So let's get onto our next item in our list. The next item is a legendary item. It is called Flashback. So it is a triggered item as well, and it will trigger on close call. So on close call, items are triggered extra time after 0.5 seconds. So when you have those close calls calling and you activate this, like this rocket boost or this mystery spring, or even when this pungent herb is activate, or like, let's see what are, like this shortcut over here is activate. Oh no, let me correct that. It is only work for close call items. So like it will only trigger this shortcut, this tight schedule. So since the base of this item is to grant 10% boost, since it will gonna trigger twice, it will gonna grant you 20% boost instead. And this tight schedule from 0.25 to 0.5 second cooldown reduction. So yeah, this item is really great if you have like multiple close call item like this, and let's see which are the other close call items. So yeah, it is another enabler item which won't do anything by itself. And while the extra trigger is really great to have, but for a legendary item to only do that, I think it won't be really great. So I'm gonna put this item in our E tier over here. So yeah, I think there's not much close call item in our list. So let's see here, this all over here is close call items. So yeah, since there are also not much close call items in our list, and beside like like this delayed emergency device, I suppose that will be nice to have triggered again after 0.5 seconds, or like what, this planary configurator, which will turn our non-perfect landing into perfect landing. So instead of having 0.5 second frame to it, it will gonna grant us 1 second frame to it. So yeah, it won't really do much, I suppose. So let's get going on to our next item. So the next item is adrenaline. So it's yet another close call item. It's a common item and it will gonna grant us 4% energy every time we triggered a close call. Well, for me in this game, every boost item and energy item will gonna be better to have than any of other items effects. So even though it is a close call items, which I really not a big fan of, but since it will gain us more energies, I think this one will still gonna be able to get to a tier over here. So yeah, if you have this adrenaline, you actually want to get this flashback, but since adrenaline is really cost less than this flashback item, you actually want to just grab 2 of this adrenaline. But if you happen to have like more than that, then you want to get this flashback item instead, so that you can trigger this adrenaline twice. But even so, just to grab this item by itself, it will really gonna help you on your run, since you can activate your ability more often. So yeah, let me just put it in our list over here. Adrenaline is in A tier. So let's go into our next item. Is another close call item. Is restorative maneuver. So it will restore 3 of our health every time we trigger close call. But to get health by putting yourself in danger, I don't think this item will work really great unless you're really desperate to get those health back up. But if you are in that position, I don't think you really want to risk yourself to get those close call triggered, unless you really just have to pass through those obstacles. So yeah, even though wait, I forgot to turn this off. So even though this effect is really great to boost our survivability, but to trigger it, you actually putting yourself in more danger than you're supposed to. So this item will be ranked in D for me. So restorative maneuver. It's gonna be stick in D rank. So onto our next item. So this one is on close call. It will grant us invulnerability for 0.3 seconds. So even though it grants us invulnerability, but I think it won't be really that useful in most cases. So, and the invulnerability frame is really that short unless they boost it like this Grounds helmet. I think I'm gonna stick this item to D tier as well. Oh, I keep forgetting to turn off this icon over here, sorry about that. So yeah, the invulnerability item will really gonna help, but since those close calls will only gonna trigger right after you pass those obstacles, and since you really need to be ahead of those obstacles, you cannot use those close call to hit yourself with this same obstacle that you are triggering those close call to. And yeah, unless you really met like really bunch of obstacle and you really have to bump in one of those obstacles, this item might actually gonna be helpful. But other than that, you actually want to trigger this close call when you know the obstacle don't have anything else behind it. And even so, if you happen to get the, what is it called, the ideal situation to trigger this item, well, those invincibility window is really short, and if you happen to miscalculate it, you will took the damage instead. So yeah, this item will stay in D rank for me. Delayed emergency device. So let's hop onto our next item in our list. So the next item, the n-dimensional leaf clover. So on close call, you're gonna have 25% more luck for 2 seconds. Well, the item itself won't do anything, and you really have to grab those percentage base item like this pungent herb, or like, let's see which are another percentage one, like perhaps this jackpot over here. And even so, the luck that it gave was really not that great. It's only 25% and it will only last for 2 seconds. So this n-dimensional leaf clover, for me, it's gonna go to E tier over here. So which other n-dimensional leaf clover? So let's see, was this our last close call item? I think that is our last close call. Yeah. So the last close call item is the planar configuration. So this item will turn all of our non-perfect landing to become perfect landing. So like, if you happen to get that bad landing going, but if you get close call right before you get those bad landing, this item will turn that bad landing into perfect, and this perfect will actually gonna have like quote marks around them, so you know that it's actually not really perfect landing on them. But you can actually use this item if you aim for those all perfect landing achievements, since even though it is technically not perfect landing, but the game will still count it as perfect landing. So those quoted perfect landing will not gonna mess your achievement there. So but the 0.5 second frame is really short, so this planar configurator will gonna be put it in C tier for me. So if they happen to boost the what does it call, the duration of this all non-perfect landing. So like if they happen to boost it to 1 second, I think I'm gonna put it up to B tier, and if they boost it for like 2 seconds, it will practically gonna be up to A tier or even S tier, but I think I want to try that item on first before I gonna put it in any of those tiers, since it has the S tier potential, but I really need to know whether we can trigger those perfect landing really that much, or will we even really need those perfect landing or not. So let's get onto our next item over here. So the next item is atomic timepiece. So this item is a triggered item, and it will trigger on every perfect landing. It is an epic item, so it will reduce 1 second to all of our cooldowns. Let's see here. Even though the item itself not really that great, but since it only need to get perfect landing to get triggered, it is actually really easy to trigger this item, and we can actually control how the item will gonna be triggered. So, and since so many items has benefits from the cooldown reduction, like these sirens over here will get benefited from the cooldown reduction. This, let's note not that, this standard redirector will gonna have benefit from this atomic timepiece, or even this rocket boots gonna have benefit from this item. So I think I still gonna put this item into C tier, since so many item is gonna be benefited from these cooldown reductions. And yeah, I think B tier, C tier is proper for this atomic timepiece over here. So let's hop onto our next item in our list. The next item will be general relativity. So this general relativity item will gonna reduce 0.1 second to all the cooldowns for each 10% boost that we use. So, well, if you happen to grab 2 of this, and I think you need plutonium to get it. So if you happen to have 2 general relativity and you have 2 plutonium coins, you can actually keep triggering your ability. So yeah, basically infinite energy for you, and it's really great to have. Wait, was it 10%? Oh no, it was 10% boost. So you actually want to grab this along with like booster poke over here, or well earned confidence. So oh yeah, I remember this item. So this item was the item that I used to beat the snake boss, I think, the first snake. So when I fought it, I actually grabbed this general relativity along with 2 of this rocket boots. So like I activate both of my boots, and it grant me 100% boost, and since that will means it this general relativity will gonna reduce 1 second. Since I have 100% boost there, it will reduce 1 second cooldown for every 0.3 seconds. So like I can always activate both of my boots. Like when it effect expired, I can just reactivate it and get all those boost back. So yeah, this item really great to combo with this rocket boots over here. So I think I'm gonna put it in, let's see, what's it, D tier, or let's see, C tier that I want to put it. So I think there are so many boost items that I have cooldown, like this shiny anchor pin has cooldowns in it. This perpetual has cooldown in it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this. Oh, I think I'm gonna just put it in B tier since it relies on boost to activate, and since boost item also have many cooldowns dependent items on them. So yeah, I think the relativity will go to B tier over here. And if I remember, there's someone who posted on the Steam discussion said that they have 2 general relativity with, I forgot which are the other item was. So yeah, they basically said that this general relativity keep triggering the boost item, and they just went really fast and just gliding over the maps without ever need to touch the ground or so. So yeah, I think B tier is proper for this item. So let's get on to our next item. The next item is Overwound Pocket Watch. So this Overwound Pocket Watch is a repeating item. It has 3-second cooldown on its own, and every time it went off cooldown, it will reduce 1 second to all cooldowns. On, let's see here, yeah. So this item will actually gonna reduce the cooldown, not itself, but if you happen to grab 2 of these items, it will reduce the cooldown of the other Overwound Pocket Watch. So like if you have 1, it's gonna have 2 cooldowns. If you have 2, it actually gonna have 2-second cooldown on each one, and if you happen to have 3, it will gonna only have 1-second cooldown of each. And since 3 of them are triggering differently, so you practically gonna have 3 seconds cooldown for every, like, no, it's actually you're gonna have 1 second cooldown for every second that you have. So like this boots over here will gonna drop to 10-second cooldown. This spring will gonna drop to 15 seconds. This redirector gonna drop to 15 seconds as well. This replenishing file will gonna drop to 50 seconds, etc, etc. So yeah, the item is really great to have along with other cooldown dependent items. So I think I'm gonna put it in B tier as well. Let's go on to our next item in our list. So let's see here. And our next item is shiny anchor pin. So this is a repeating item which has 1 second cooldown, and it will grant us 15% boost for 1 second, but it will only trigger only if we have full health. So the item itself is like really great to have, since like the other option to get the boost like this potential will only grant us 10% boost, or the golden necklace is only gonna grant us 10% as well. So the 15% boost is actually much better, but since you need to get yourself always at full health to activate it, it kinda like double-edged sword to have. So if you happen to hit any obstacle and don't have any healing item in your possession, you actually just lose all of these item effects. But if you happen to get your health to be full all the time, you actually gonna be benefited more. You get more benefit from it boost compared to other boost items. So I think even though it is a boost item, but since you can really easily mess up while using it, I think this only gonna get to be tier. Oh yeah, this item is already this item has existed since the demo, so I really familiar with this one. So yeah, if they happen to buff this item more, so like if we gain 25% boost, I think it will went to the A tier, but for now it will stay in B tier, I suppose. So let's get on to our next item. So here we have a trigger item that has 0.1 second cooldown, and it will only trigger if we get some heal. So the heal here is actually gonna still be triggered even though you get those heal when your health is full. So it's really great item to have with like this aromatic herb, or this pungent herb is actually not really that great since it only have percent cooldown to trigger. Oh, this restorative maneuver over here. So like if you grab these vitamins along with this restorative maneuver over here, you can actually turn these vitamins into these shortcut items. So yeah, but it really depends that you need other healing item to trigger this one. So the item by itself is not that useful, but if you happen to grab a constant healing items like this aromatic herb, or if you happen to grab this vitamin along with this blood engine and impact activated healing drone combo, it will actually gonna be a really huge boost that it gave. So I think this item will only go to C tier for now, even though it is a boost item, but by itself it won't do much, and you really need to grab a healing item to properly activate the effects. So yeah, even the healing item itself is preferably like this low cooldown healings, so with not that much healing there. Wait, I think I'm gonna recorrect this tier. I'm just gonna put it down to D tier over here. So yeah, since this item really combo dependent, so I don't think you're gonna be benefit much to grab this item. So yeah, vitamins, we're gonna get D tier in our list. Let's get on to our next item. So our next item is the highest determination on taking damage. We're gonna get 10% boost for 10 seconds. So this item is really combined well with blood engines or this impact activated drone, or even like this dangerous investment scheme, or like wingspan over here, since the boost itself is only 10%, but the duration that it activates is 10 seconds, which is really long. And if you happen to get this along with blood engine and impact activated drone, healing drone over here, it will work similar like these vitamins over here. But since the activation for this highest determination is only needed you to take some damage to activate it, I think this item will get to A tier. Moreoverly, since the long duration that it has, I think A tier is proper for this item to have. So highest determination, A tier. Yeah, so let's hop on to our next item. So the next item is the perpetual motion machine. So it is a cooldown item which is gonna repeat itself for every 6 seconds. So, and every time it went off cooldown, it gonna grant us 10% boost for 6 seconds, which are the same as it cooldown. But if you happen to grab any cooldown reduction item, this will gonna have better effect, since you can actually stack the effect of itself. Like if you have 3-second cooldown reduction, you gonna constantly gain 20% boost instead of 10%. So yeah, with that potential, and since it is only a common item, I think I'm gonna rank this in our S tier over here, since like you really want to get these items, and you can get this item quite easily as well. And there's so many items that can grant better effect for this item. So yeah, S tier, I think S tier is proper for this perpetual motion machine over here. So let's hop onto our next item. So our next item is plutonium coin. I don't think you guys gonna have any question when I just say this plutonium coin is an S tier. You really want to get this item whenever you can, since it has really low cooldown. It only has 3-second cooldown, and every 3 seconds you're gonna get 10% energy. And if you happen to grab multiple plutonium coins, you're gonna have really great energy resource. And even with just one coin, if you grab other cooldown reduction items beside this general relativity, I suppose. But if you happen to have general relativity along with other motion machine, it will gonna be quite useful for this plutonium coin as well. So this item is really viable with any kind of build that you have, and by itself it really works great, and I think there's no question about it that this item is an S tier. And for this item, I actually really like this item ever since I've played the demo, and since in the demo you can actually use the item duplication bug, like when you get to those elite fragments, when you pick those items you can actually just spam A and get multiple of the item that it gave. So like I've played with like 5 or more plutonium coins in a single run, and really it felt like cheating, since you can use your energy without ever worrying about running out of energy. So yeah, plutonium coin, easy S tier over here. Even I think it is like the high end of the S tier. So let's get onto our next item over here. The next item is performance-based health insurance. So it is triggered on every perfect landing. It is a healing item. It will restore 3 of our health every time we do a perfect landing. So it is a much better version than this restorative maneuver over here. And if you happen to grab this along with this vitamins, it will actually gonna be a really great boost to have, since you will gain 10% boost every time you do a perfect landing, and they will get along really well. But even so, the item by itself will still works wonderfully. So beside that, it is a survivability item. I think this will can still be go to A tier, since like if you happen to get really great at perfect landings, you don't really want to worry much about speed, and when you do mistakes in your run, those perfect landing will actually get you back in your shape. So this is actually a really great item in my opinion. So yeah, performance based health insurance is A tier for me. So let's see over here. The next item, I think you guys already saw this item. This is Impact Activated Healing Drone. It is a triggered item, even though it has that 0.1 second cooldown, but you actually don't really felt that cooldown much, and it simply will restore 5 health every time you took damage, and the damage itself will not have limits. So like even though you only take 2 damage from like this dangerous investment sim over here, it will always restore 5 health. So it's a good item to have, but it's not really that great. And since you need to take damage to activate it if you don't have any item combination for it, like this blood engine that works really well with this drone, or even to just recounter the bad effect of this wingspan over here. I don't think you really want to take those damage to restore your health. But yeah, I think this one will only stay in B tier, even though it really enable many of the items over here, like this wingspan. It counters this dangerous investment scheme, so like it's actually gonna heal 3 of our health every time we collect sparks instead of losing, so it really went great with blood engine. So but the item by itself really not that great. It is good, but you don't want to activate the effect really that much, since you have to run through obstacles and such. So I think B tier is proper for this one. Impact activated healing drones. So let me just type it real quick. It's B tier, so let's get on to our next row over here. We already reached the 3rd row, so here it is the leadership pipe. So leadership pipe over here is a repeating item which has 1 second cooldown, and it will only trigger if we have above 70% health, and it will restore us 3% of our health. So this item is kinda trivial, since the percent health restoration is really great, but it will only activate when we have above 70% health. So like you really need to get those health back to 70% when you took hits to trigger these items. And if you don't have any other healing method, and you happen to only have like 50% health, this item won't do anything for you. So I think this one will only get to D tier, I suppose, since other healing item is gonna be better than this item in my opinion. So yeah, leadership pipe is D tier for me. Let's go on to our next item over here. So the next item will be Karma. So Karma here will gonna grant us 2% luck per our missing health, which is similar to this painful coil over here, but it will grant us luck instead. So this item, I don't think you really need all the luck that you have while sacrificing those health to trigger it. So unless you really want to aim for big sparks build with this jackpot item, or like what is the other item, like no, not that, not that, there are the other item. Which is the item? I kind of forget where the item is. So let's see here. No, not that. I think it should be right around here. On perfect landing. Like this high risk investment over here, which will have 10% chance to gain 2 spark for every 0.1 seconds. Yeah, unless you really went for that build, you don't want to sacrifice that much health to gain those luck, so Karma will go to E tier since the item itself won't do anything for you. So let's get to the next item in our list. The next item will be Brittle Breastplate. So this item will increase our max health by 150%, but every time we do an okay landing or bad landing, we're gonna lose 50 health. That is really huge, but if you manage to only get 1 or 2 bad landings on each run or less than that, I think you can gonna survive quite well using this item. And let's see, I don't think I've ever remember using this item in my run, so I suppose this is still bugged like this big pumpkin or this big squash. Like the health boost item, the item that increase max health, will actually gonna heal yourself in the beginning of the fragments. If that works the same, I think you can manage to hit 1 or 2 okay or bad landing for each run. But if you don't want to take those risks, so you can just skip it. But the max health that it gave itself is actually really huge, so I think I'm just gonna stick this one in our C tier over here. So yeah, you guys can have different opinion than mine, but for me it's still get to C tier. So C tier that I gave is based on the current patch, the 1.2.d, since in this patch this item is supposedly still buggy, so that you gonna get some health back every time you start a fragment. So yeah, if they remove it, I think I'm gonna drop this item to E tier, since the other max health item will gonna be great with no bad effects like this. So yeah, let's get on to our next item, the Steel Head Lining. So it is an active item which is gonna grant us invulnerability for 7 seconds, and it will restore 35% of our damage block as health. So for me, this one is really a better version than this personal matter stabilizer, since we get pretty much the same invulnerability frame, but when we activate this item, when we hit an obstacles or took some damage, the damage will gonna convert it to our health instead. So like if we use this item when we only have 10 health and we got hit by like 2 of those laser beams, which each will gonna deal 50 damage, so after we got hit by those, our health will gonna get back up to 45, since we gonna get healed by 35 of those 100 instead. So like yeah, this is really great, and since the cooldown is only 35 seconds, You can practically activate this item twice for every fragment run, so this item is simply A tier for me. Let's get onto our next item. The next item is portable harvester. So this item, along with our next item, is kinda buggy if you use it. So like if you use it in the boss stage when they don't have any obstacle to clear, you will actually gonna be stuck in the slow motion mode, like the one that I have when doing the second snake, I think. Yeah, you can check on my live video. It is when I fought that snake. I think the title is what came after 5, I suppose. Yeah, in that stream I actually tried to use this portable harvester on the snake head, but when I use it, the game was actually just went on to slow motion mode instead, which actually really helped me to took down that snake, but it really took me quite sometimes to do so. So yeah, even though the effect itself is great, but I don't think there's much any use of it, so portable harvester is gonna be in D tier for me. And the other one, the otherworldly contract, which actually a much better version than this portable harvester. So like this one will destroy all nearby obstacles for 5 seconds, and it has less cooldown than this portable harvester. So this one, this otherworldly contract, will still be in D tier since they both has same kind of bug over them. So yeah, hopefully they will fix those bugs of this. Well, since I haven't tried these items again, I don't know whether it has been fixed. Even so, even if they fix the bug, I don't think we really need that much of this effect in our runs. So I probably want to grab as many boost or energy item I can get rather than this legendary item over here, since these legendary items cost quite a lot. Like I think it's around 1.5 thousand each for the legendary items. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick them in D tier. So onto our next item. It's personal gravity enhancer. So it is an epic item. It is activate item which has 35-second cooldown. When we activate it, it's gonna stick to the ground for 5 seconds, and we're gonna gain 35% boost for 5 seconds as well. So this item is really great, but if you happen to have those massive craters in front of you, you actually don't want to activate this one. But if you happen to see there's a really long path in front of you, this one will actually really beneficial for you. And since it is an active item, you can actually control when you want to use it or not. So and 35% boost is actually really great. So I think I'm still gonna put this in A tier. So what's the name again? A personal gravity enhancer. So yeah, like in a long path, this item is really great, but you actually don't want to use this item when you're facing the final boss, since you know the final boss has those bumpy platforms that you need to jump on around, and this one will actually gonna sunk you down to the abyss. So yeah, let's get on to our next item. So the next item is timeline shifter. So this item is an active item which will teleport us when we activate this item. This item is actually really simple, and it works just like the Wraith Hourglass ability, but even though it's safe on activate, it will teleport us, but if there's a laser beam along our way, we actually gonna hit those laser beams. So I don't think teleport is the proper wording for this item. So it does grant us a huge leap forward, but it's not that we skip those laser or those obstacles. It instead just bring ourselves really quickly to our designated point. So it's a really fun item to use, but I think I'm just gonna put this item in C tier, since you can really reposition yourself really easily with these items. But other than that, I think the standard redirector is gonna work the same, or this mystery spring is still gonna work the same. So yeah, this item will gonna be stay in C tier for me. Timeline shifter, C tier. So let's hop onto our next item in this list. The next item is the recyclable rocket. So this one will gain us 50 speed. So unlike the other boost speed, this will increase our speed for like when we activate it. When we have 100 meter per second, it will actually increase to 150. But it will decrease our turn rate by 60 as long as it actives. And on the downside, when the item is deactivated, so if this item has passed the second cooldown, no, the 6 second activation timer, your speed, which are the 150, will gonna be reduced by 50, which will gonna bring your speed back to 100. And they said that if you happen to lose the run while this item is still activated, and in the beginning of your run, which like you having 90 meter per second speed, it will get reduced by 50 as well. So you, in the beginning of the run there, you actually only gonna have 40 meter per second. And if you happen to hit an obstacle which reduce your speed, it will not gonna recalculate it how much the speed will gonna reduce. So like if you happen to hit an obstacle and your speed gonna get lower to 60, it will still gonna reduce that speed by 50, so you only gonna have 10 meter per second left in your possession. So yeah, even though it is a speed boosting item, but with that noticeable downside, I think this one is really gonna have to stay in E tier for me. Well, let's hop onto our next item. The next item is emergency shoes. So if we run slower than 80 meters per second, we're gonna get invulnerability for 5 seconds, we're gonna gain 20% boost for 5 seconds, and we're gonna gain 50% speed as well. 15, not 50, sorry, 15 speed as well. It will have 45-second cooldowns onto it, and this item is gonna helps you really well when you do get slower than 80 meters per second, but preferably I don't want to get this item triggered, but it's kinda nice insurance to have, so I think emergency shoes will gonna go to D tier for me. And yeah, that's pretty much about that shoes. Let's get on to our next item. So the next item is fragile confidence. This item is a triggered item which will only check our last landing. If it was a perfect landing, it will gonna grant us 15% boost, and if it's not, it won't grant us any of the boost. But since you can actually easily trigger those perfect landing, and even if you miss one, you can just re-trigger it again after that. So basically this one is a much better version than the shining anchor pin, since you don't have to stay at full health to trigger it. You only need to do a perfect landing. It will grant you 15% boost, and I think it is a better version than well-earned confidence as well. But if you happen to get really great at your landing, this well-earned confidence will actually gonna be better than this fragile confidence. But since it is a 15% boost and it is easily to trigger the items, I think this one will gonna be in our A tier list. Let's hop onto our next item. So the next item is the dynamo treadmill. So this is a triggered item which will get triggered when we run for 100 meters. So run over here will only count if your feet is touching the ground. So if you just hovering above the ground, it won't trigger the effect. So you actually have to stick onto the ground to trigger this effect, but those 5% energy gain is actually really great to have. And these items will gonna be in our A tier, since any energy item is really great, especially this plutonium coin which can be boosted. So yeah, this dynamo treadmill with 5% energy is really nice to have. Let's go on to our next item here. So the next item is another 100-meter run based item. This one will restore 3 of our health, since it is only will heal us. It only increase our survivability. I don't think it is much better to get these items, so I think this one will gonna be ranked in B tier, since Survivability healing items is really nice to have, but I prefer energy items or even boost items rather than these healing items. So yeah, this one is B tier for me. Distance-based health insurance. B tier. So let's hop onto our next item. It's the reheated soup. So per point of energy that's used, it will restore 0.4 of our health. So this one is a really nice combo to have with vitamins, and I think you can easily use this item in any build that you have. Even so, the item by itself is gonna works wonderfully. So oh, I forgot to turn off the tier again, but B tier is actually really proper for these items. So yeah, reheated soup, another B tier in our list. Let's get on to our next item. This intangibility. For per point of energy used, we're gonna gain 0.15 second of invulnerability. For me, this item, even though this is a survivability item, but it really gonna help you in your run. So like when you're fighting a boss, when you're just doing those endless run, this item will really gonna help you. Like if you happen to hit any obstacle, you can just use your ability and get those invulnerability frame whenever you want it. So intangibility for me, just S tier for me. So yeah, I actually like this item when I grab it while using the courier's board ability. So like it just gonna make those chirping invulnerability sound effect, like chirp 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 sound effect, and I really love those sound effects. And since then I really hoping to encounter these items in any of my runs. So yeah, intangibility S tier for me. Let's hop onto our next item in our list. So let's see here. Grid machine. For every 25 spark pickup, you're gonna gain 35% boost for 3 seconds, invulnerability for 3 seconds, and gain 20% of energy. This item has it all. It has boost, it has invulnerability, and it has energy, but it really depends on how the sparks is laying out. So like when you grab this grid machine, you actually want to get this growth potential over here, since it will add 150 sparks spread it in the fragment runs, but by itself it can actually come handy from time to time, since even though you won't gain much from that invulnerability, but the 35% boost and those 20% energy gain energy is actually gonna really helpful for your run. So grid machine A tier. I actually want to put it in S tier, but sometimes to grab those sparks will actually put yourself in much danger. So I think A tier is still proper for this one. Oh yeah, forgot to mention, this spark pickup will actually only triggered when you pick up the spark, not gaining the spark. So like when you where's the item, like this one shimmering condenser, on run 100 meters you gain 10 spark. This will not count as picking up sparks. So yeah, if this one is counting the spark from shimmering condenser as well, this is will gonna be an easy S tier, but for now it's standing on A tier for now. So what's the item name again? Grid machine, A tier. Let's hop onto our next item over here. So the next item will be timeline recalibrator. So when on death, we're gonna ignore death and restore 25% of our max health. We're gonna gain invulnerability and it will give us 15% boost for 5 seconds. This item is really great to have since it is basically an extra life for every 60 seconds. So I think it will gonna stand in A tier as well. Yeah, this one will stay in A tier since that guarantees he will actually gonna really helpful in your run if you messed up sometime. And then is our last item in this row over here. So this is the ring metal materializer. So it is a repeating item. It has 8-second cooldown and it will spawn a speed ring that randomly ahead of us. So speed ring is actually those ring that we can pass through, and every time we pass through those ring it will gonna give us 15 speed. It's around 10 or 15 speed if I remember. So yeah, you can actually hook on to those rings, I think. And if you happen to grab cooldown reduction item, the ring will spontaneously spawn around and will make your game lag so much. But since it will give us those speed rings that we can went through, it will actually help us in our speed. But the spawning one will kinda randomizing, so sometimes the ring will spawn right before the obstacle and you really don't want to get through those rings. But mostly if it was a safe spawn, you actually want to get this. So for me, this item will be in our B tier over here, ring materializer B tier. So let's hop onto our next item. So let's see here, what item would we want to check now again. So the next one is a fragile taco. This one is a rare item. It is triggered if our last landing was perfect and it will restore 2 health on every 1 second. So this one by itself is really good. It is much better version than this aromatic herbs over here, since this has lower cooldown and it only rely on our last landing. So if we mess up our landing, we can just get another perfect landing to get this item triggered again, and it combines really well with this vitamin. So this fragile tackle simply a tier for me. So let's see here, fragile tackle a tier. Let's get onto our next item in this list. So we're gonna have speedy recovery. So this speedy recovery is a triggered item that will trigger if we went faster than 120 meters per second. It will trigger every 1 second, just like our last item, like this fragile tackle over here. So it's similar like that. can be combined with vitamins as well, but it requires us to go past through 120 meter per second, and since we can actually easily achieve that speed, I think we can manage to get constant effect of this item. So I'm just gonna put this item along with the tackle in A tier. So let's see here, which was speedy recovery. So hello to you all that are currently watching this stream. I hope you still want to follow me to review all of this item. We currently on what, like it is 18, 36, 40, no, it's 18, 36, 54 with 56 items. I think it's 56, and we're gonna have 18, 35 items more. So I hope you want to stick around with my review. So the next item is the timeline refractor. When we take damage, it will rewind ourselves 5 seconds back in time, and will gonna grant us invulnerability for 0.4 seconds. It have 20-second cooldowns, and that's pretty much it. But sometimes it will just bring yourself back through this obstacle that you've already passed, and which means you actually have to get past through those obstacles as well again. So like, it's really great to rewind ourselves when we took damage, but sometimes it means we really need to, oh, I forgot to put down the tier again. So where was we? So yeah, sometimes it's great to have that rewind, but most of the time those rewind will gonna screw you over, especially when you already passed through like plenty of laser beams, and you have to go past through those again. So like, for me personally, I don't really like this item much. I rather prefer this timeline recalibrator rather than this timeline refactor. So like this one, I think this one will stick in D tier since it has some uses, but most of the time it will just gonna screw us over. And there's much better version item of it, like this timeline recalibrator. So yeah, this timeline refractor is D tier for me. Let's get onto our next item here. So let's see. The next one is shimmering condenser. Shimmering condenser will gonna grant us 10 spark every 100 meter that we ran. So spark items, so this item on itself will actually not that much, but when you do a fragment, you actually want to get as many spark as you can, so that you can buy as many items as you can in the shop if you find them. So like, you want to get as many spark to get as many items, and if you happen to get these items in the earlier fragments, it will gonna be more effective rather than getting it in later fragments. But like, if you happen to have the booster poke, you actually want to just grab the spark for itself. So I think shimmer condenser is good but not great, so I think C tier will gonna be suitable for this one. And most likely most spark items will gonna stay in C tier or B tier at most. So yeah, shimmering condenser is simply C tier for me. Let's get onto our next item. The next item is transition slingshot. So this one is triggered when we enter fragments. So in the beginning of our run, we're gonna gain 20% boost for 10 seconds, which is a great head start, but beside that it won't do anything else. So but since it is a boost item, I think it will gonna be in B tier. So yeah, just like what it says, it is as simple as that. Transition slingshot. B tier. No. B tier. So let's hop onto our next item. The next item will be void charger. So this one works as same as the previous one, but this one will grant us 50% energy, and since energy will stay with us unless we use those in our abilities, so this one will actually gonna rank higher than the previous item. This one will stay in A tier, and yeah, you can actually get free 50% energy for the beginning of any run or even the boss stage, which is really nice to have. So this item was void charger is A tier. Void charger. So the next item was supposedly the same on fragment enter. Yes, it is the pocket snack. On enter fragment, we're gonna restore our 550 health. So this one is actually good to maintain our health in short run. So like in every fragment we're gonna heal us 50 health so that we don't have to go to those bonfire really often. But since this max health item is really buggy, this will like cover the pocket snack effect, since like if you grab one of these big pumpkin, besides that you are getting 60 max health, you actually gonna get healed 30 every time you enter a fragment. So currently this item is really overshadowed by those items, but even so, the pocket snack can still be held onto the C tier. So if you have any other opinion opposed to mine, you can drop that on the comment down below. But as I claimed before, this is clearly based on my personal opinion, so yeah, we can pretty much have different opinion of what we think about this item. So let's get going on to our next item over here. We have void compressor, which gonna grant us 100 sparks every time we enter fragment. So this item is great, especially if you have it early on, and it will work really great with this booster poke over here. And in the endless run, you actually want to grab this along with this booster pop so that you can get those rainbow boots going really early. So yeah, I think this one is easily gonna go to the B tier, since when you, like, if you can get this in the second fragment of the 10th shot, you can actually have 25 more fragments to go, so that basically gonna grant you 2.5 thousand sparks to spend before you're fighting the final boss. So yeah, this item is really great. So 2.5 thousand spark can easily get you 2 or 3 items, or you can just convert that for this booster pump boost. So like, you can easily gain 60 boost, yeah, 60 or 75% boost with this just one booster plug over here. So what's the item called again? Fluid compressor. B tier. So let's hop onto our next items. Let's see over here. The next one is Spark Power Propeller. So this one will gonna gain us 1% boost for every spark that we pick up for 5 seconds. It is really great item to have, but it really depends on how the spark is laying out. But still, the boost itself is really huge, and a spark trail can have like averagely 15 spark or 20 sparks in them. So like, you can get easily 15% boost for 5 seconds if you follow along the spark trail. So Spark Power Propeller, even with its limitation, it will stay in A tier for me, since when you do have great spark layout, like you can grab 100 spark in quick succession, it will easily grant you 100% boost, which will gonna give yourself a really nice speed boost to get through the level much quicker, and also convert those pick it up sparks to gain 50% more when you get that S rank on those fragments. So yeah, really great item to have. So what's the name again? Spark Power Propeller. Propeller is A tier. So let's hop onto our next item. The next item is Spark Furnace. So every spark that we pick up, we're gonna convert it into 1% energy. This one is easily S tier for me, since the energy can be stocked, so that when you want to use the ability, you can just have those energy ready. So if you ever ran out of this energy, you can actually just grab those spark to reveal your energy bar. So yeah, Spark Furnace, an easy S rank for me. So let's see what's our next item will be over here. Mortar and Pestle. On every spark pickup, we're gonna restore 1 health. So this one will actually really works really great with vitamins over here, since Like if you can grab 20 sparks, it will be converted as like 200 boost already there, but the item itself is just kinda so I suppose. So like I think B tier is still okay to put these items, mortar and pestle. So if they happen to just buff the amount of health restored by it, like buff it into 2 health per sparks, it will actually gonna be in A tier, but for now it will gonna stay in B tier. So let's see what the next item will be. The next item is friendly looking star. So on spark pickup will gonna grant us invulnerability. So since the invulnerability frame is really short, like just 0.5 seconds, but it can actually helps you to grab those spark most saver, since those spark are usually spread like near those obstacles and such. So even though the item itself only grant invulnerability in short time frame, but it can works really well with other spark pickup item like this. And I think I'm just gonna put this one in another B tier, I suppose. So friendly looking star, B tier. And let's get on to the next item. I think I already know what tier I'm gonna give for this item. The golden necklace is simply A tier. It's a passive item which is gonna give you 10% boost. It is slightly lower than the perpetual motion machine, since the PMM over here can be boosted by the golden reduction, while this golden necklace is you just take it as it is. So yeah, this one will gonna stay in A tier. And let's see what the next item shall we review over here. So the next item is secret technique instruction. So on perfect landings, we're gonna have 30% chance to gain 30% boost for 5 seconds. This one on itself is already quite great, but the chance is actually not that low, but hopefully they can buff it more, like to 35% or even 40% or so. But yeah, it can still work for now. Even so, if you grab all these locks items, you can actually boost it this item. So I think it is somewhere around A or B tier. I think I'm just gonna put it in A tier, since the amount of boost that it has is quite big and the duration is 5 seconds, is quite as much as this rocket boots over here. So like you can easily trigger much perfect landings in quick succession, so you can easily get those 30% boost running really often. So yeah, this one secret technique instruction is easily A tier for me. But if they happen to boost it up more, I think this one can easily go to S tier. So let's turn this tier back down and let's see over here. This one, the overcomplicated coin. So it trigger off cooldown and it is only have 1 second cooldown, and every cooldown it has 50% chance to increase luck by 100%. So the item by itself is not great, but if you happen to grab this secret technique instruction or this pungent herbs, or well, any percentage based item like this high risk investment or jackpot, it will really boost those items up. And I think it will only go for D tier. It is almost able to go for C tier, but since it is on itself won't really do much, I'm just gonna put it on D tier for now. Overcomplicated coin. D tier. So let's see here again. Which are the next item? Overclock medicinal drone. So it is a cooldown item which repeats for 0.2 seconds, and it only has 10% chance to restore to health. Well, it has really great healing potential, but I think I prefer like this fragile tackle or even this speedy recovery more, since they can be triggered much more consistent than this one. But if you happen to grab those luck items, you can still be using this one more, and it can be combined with vitamins to gain you really nice boost as well. So yeah. Let's see here. I think I'm just gonna drop this in, I don't know, either C tier or B. I think it's just gonna go on C tier, since like the chances are really low, even though the cooldown is really low as well, but the amount of health restored is not really much. It's quite same as this one, this aromatic herb over here, but the aromatic herb will be more consistent to trigger. So yeah, overclock will gonna stick to C for me. Let's hop on to our next item. The next item is the clown shoes. It has 30% chance to turn non-perfect landings into a perfect landings. So the item by itself, not really that dependable, but if you can grab like perhaps just 2 luck items like this item and this item, it can most likely turn any of your non-perfect into perfect. So to turn those landing into perfect is really quite useful, since perfect landings grant you more energies than just doing a good landing. But like I said before, the item itself is not that dependable. It's most likely just became an insurance for when we do mess up our landings. So I think this one will only go for B tier for me, the clown shoes over here. Well, that's for the clown. The next one is the aromatic herb. This one is a basic items. It's a repeating items that will trigger every 2 seconds, and every 2 seconds we're gonna gain 2 health, and it can be combined with, as I said before, vitamins as well. And is a really great sustainability item, so I think B tier is really proper for these items. So let's see here, aromatic herb is B tier. So we've got over that rows and we get to this row over here. So let's see here. Now this one, low grade timeline swapper, we're gonna heal 2% of our health for every 10% boost that we have. So if we have like a massive boost build, we actually only need this item to maintain our health to full. So like if we grab 100% boost, this will heal ourselves for 20% health, and it will trigger for every 3 seconds. And if we can get like 500% boost, it will fully recover our health for every 3 seconds. So like it's really great item to have, but really depends on our boost. But since boost is really what we want to aim for this game, I think this can still stay in B rank for me. So yeah, low grade timeline swapper is B rank in my opinion. Let's hop on to our next item. So let's see here. The next item is bitter herb. So bitter herb will restore 2% of our health on 2-second cooldowns. It works just like the aromatic herb, but aromatic herb actually gave you a flat 2 health, but this bitter herb will restore 2% of our health. So like if we have 200, yeah, let's go by 200 max health, it will heal us for 4 health for every 2 seconds. But this aromatic herb will only heal us for 2. But if we have less max health than that, like say we get that event where we lose our max health, I think it is the Wraith event, I forgot the name of the event, nor the passive that it gains. It will only heal us for 1 health instead of 2 that the aromatic herbs gave. So in most cases these bitter herbs will work the same like the aromatic herbs, but in some cases it might go worse or even better than aromatic herbs. But I think still bitter herbs will rank as same as its counterpart, the aromatic herbs. So I just gonna give these herbs B ranks for their performance. So let's see here, what's our next item is the extreme herb. So extreme herb over here will actually heal us for 5% of our missing health. So like if we lose 99 health, it will restore 5 of that health. And I think it will always check for our missing health. So like if we happen to only lose 10 health, it will only heal 1 health like that. So the more current health that we have is the less this one will perform, but the more health that we lose, the better this herb will perform. So I think the extreme herb will actually gonna be outshadowed by this bitter herb over here, since this will restore this on our max health instead. So like even though it is 5% healing, but when we recover enough health, this will actually perform worse than that. So I think this extreme herb will gonna stick in C tier in my opinion, since like they both will most likely, no, the three of them will most likely perform well, perform the same. But this extreme herb, since it is an epic item, it will cost more than the other two herbs over here. So like if I happen to encounter these three in the same run, I think I'm just gonna grab bitter herbs if I have enough sparks to get it, or if I have more, I just gonna grab two of this aromatic herb instead of grabbing this one extreme herb over here. So yeah, I think extreme herb will stick in C ranks for me. Extreme herbs. How do we spell extreme? Extreme. I added another E over here. Extreme herb is C tier. So let's get on to our next item. The next one is momentum recalibrator. So this one works the same like these clown shoes, will turn our non-perfect landing into a perfect landing, but this one will have 20-second cooldowns instead of 30% chance to do so. But since this is a guaranteed non-perfect landings to a perfect landing, it is actually a really great item to have. But since this item will also get triggered even though you didn't do any landing check, but your landing is counted as bad landing or non-perfect landing to this item, this will trigger the item and this item will go on cooldown. For currently, this won't actually be performing that much. I don't know whether it is a bug or not. So like if you happen to play the demo, you actually can do those hill skippings, like you just hold on to your fast fall button and just stick to the ground as much as you can, and while you do those little hops you can actually skip those landing checks and keep gaining speeds while doing so. But this momentum recalibrator over here will actually can get triggered when you do those hill skippings, and yeah, sometimes this one just gonna go on cooldown even though it wasn't supposed to. But currently with that kind of function, this one only go for C tier. But if that is actually a bug and they will gonna fix that, I think this item over here will gonna skyrocket up to A tier in my opinion, since you can grab all of this cooldown reduction, especially this atomic timepiece, which on perfect landings will reduce 1 second to all cooldown, which like making this item here a insurance for our landing, so that we can get that all perfect landing achievement quite easily. So yeah, currently this only be in C tier, momentum recalibrator. So let's hop onto our next item. The next item is jackpot. The jackpot over here will trigger every time we do a perfect landing, but it has 1 second cooldown, which makes sense, I suppose. So if you happen to grab those luck items, you can actually easily trigger this jackpot to get those sparks really high. So like I think it makes sense that they put those cooldowns over there, since You can do multiple perfect landings in quick successions, so they actually don't want you to spam much of that perfect landing to get much more sparks. But even so, the item itself, even though you don't have much luck item to increase its probability, but in a single run you can actually trigger it once or twice, and even more if you get really lucky in those fragment runs. So yeah, this jackpot is really great, especially when you have item like this booster pump over here. It will easily grant you another 3% boost for every time it's triggered, so this item will simply be a B tier for me, since it has that low percent chance to trigger, but once it gets triggered it will really bring you lots and lots of sparks to spend. So yeah, it's really nice to have. Jackpot B tier. I actually want to put it in A tier, but I think B tier is much more reasonable, since to see its functionality it's actually B tier, but in my preference I actually really love this item, so and I think it just stay in B tier. So the next item is the high risk investment. It will keep triggering for every 0.1 second, just like the item earlier, the jackpot. It has 10% chance to trigger, and it will gain us 2 sparks for every time it got triggered. So it really needs those luck increasing items, but it is more steady item than this jackpot. So like if you happen to gain those long runs in your fragments, you can actually trigger it longer and actually can gain you more sparks than the jackpots. But since the jackpot only needs you to gain perfect landings, and if you do a longer fragment run, you actually gonna ruin your scoring and you're gonna lose those spark multiplier in the end, even though this won't affect those spark that you get in the end. And I mean the spark gain that this item gets won't be affected by those spark multiplier in the end. But even so, you really don't want to get that long in those fragments, so like to trigger this item more effectively, you actually have to go worst in your fragment run. So I think this one is only gonna get to C tier or even B tier in my opinion, but I think C tier is reasonable enough. So high risk investment, C tier. So the next item we want to review is this steady investment. So steady investment on perfect landing will guarantee us 10 sparks. So like it is the same as jackpot, but it will always grant us 10 spark, and it won't be affected by these luck items. So I think this will stay in B tier just like the jackpot. So yeah, but presumably jackpot, since it can be increased by those luck stats, this can go to A tier, but this one will always be stuck in B tier for me. So let's see over here, steady investment, B tier. B tier. So let's hop onto our next item. So let's see here. The next one is interest. So this one will keep repeating for every second. You're gonna gain 2 spark. Well, it is self-explanatory. It's kinda like this high-risk investment thing, but it is more stable. But since it also like the high-risk investment, which require you to go like longer on your fragment run to get most of its effect, so it will get another C tier. So what it called? Interest is C tier. I think, oh no, there's one more sparks related item. So the next one is dangerous investment scheme. So this one will reduce our spark pickup range, but every 1 second it will grant us 5 sparks, and every time we collect sparks we're gonna lose 2 of our health. So here this item is kinda trivial. So like if you grab these items, you actually don't want to grab any of where's the item, like these items over here, like these spark pickup items, you actually want to skip those. But if you happen to have these items along with impact activated healing drone, you actually want to re-get all of these spark pickup items. So like, yeah, it's kinda like really depend on this impact drone to do your item combos, but by itself, since it generates 5 sparks, it will actually can go to B tier, I suppose. Yeah, I think this will gonna get to B tier, since like the utmost potential that it gave is when you can grab this or even any cooldown reduction, so that it will trigger more often to get more sparks. But even so, if you don't have any of the items, those 5 sparks per second will gonna really be helpful for your run. So like dangerous investment scheme. Is B tier. So let's see over here. So how much item do we need to review over here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, we only have 10 items left. So the next item, big magnet, it will increase our spark pickup range. It actually gonna counter this minus 50% spark pickup range, but it will actually beneficial if we grab any of these spark pickup item things. So like, well, by itself it actually helpful already, so that we can easily grab those sparks. But other than that, it will still gonna be stuck in C tier. On side note, if you have multiple of this item, it will actually increase your spark pickup range really wide. So like if in the demo I actually tried duplicate these items and like 5 of this, and the spark is gonna came right at me from all over the map. So like it's really helpful to get those sparks, but there's actually a situation that you don't want to grab this magnet. Like there's a passive which also increase your spark pickup range by 100%, but you have 10% chance to get damage by, let's see, was it 10 also? Yeah, when you do get those along with those 5 spark magnets, it will guarantee you to get killed in every single fragment that you're gonna have. So let's see over here, the next item will be 400 leaf clover. Yes, 400, since 4 leaf clover is not enough. 400 leaf will gonna grant us 50% luck, so the item by itself will not do anything, but if you combine it with other item like this percentage based item over here, it will actually gonna be really great. But since that, it only get to the tier over here. The next item I think is another luck item. Yeah, it is a heart-shaped mirror. While at full health, it will grant us 100% more luck. Since it is more luck than the 400 leaf clover, but it has those, what is it called, those restriction, which only occurs when it is at full health. It can sometimes perform worse than the 400 leaf clover, but I think they might also be counted as the same, since like by themselves they won't do anything, but they will enable other items which have probability in them. So yeah, the tier for most luck item I think is really appropriate. So like, see here, shaped mirror, D tier. Now, let's see the next item. So we have the big pumpkin over here. So this big pumpkin, I think I'm just gonna review it together with this big squash, since they practically work the same. So big pumpkin will give us a flat 60 max health, but this big squash will gonna have 50% max health. So if we have 100 health, it will grant us 50 max health, but if we have more than that, like say 200 health, it will grant us 100 max health. So in most situations, if you only grab one of these, it will work the same, especially if you upgrade your Zoe's health to 120. It will actually be the same either one you're gonna get, but since big squash is a rare item, it will actually gonna cost more than the big pumpkin. But other than that, they both have that bug, which, like I said previously, since when you gain max health, you actually gonna gain health as well. So the bug is the health that you gain will actually gonna get triggered every time you enter the fragment. So like if you grab this, you actually gonna gain the effect of the pocket snack as well, so that you can survive better. So big pumpkin and big squash easily in B tier for now, but when they do remove those bugs, I think they gonna get dropped to C tier, I suppose. So let's me just type it in here real quick. Big pumpkin and big squash. So oh, we have 2 viewers now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy my stream. So let's see here. Let's see, our next item will be... Now this one is kinda trivial, so this quick tackle will grant us 100 max health only when we run faster than 100 meter per second. The limitation itself is actually really easy to get, but the inconsistency of the max health is actually gonna get this item perform slightly worse than the other max health giving items. So like, you can easily bump into obstacle and get your speed down less than 100, but then you can just speed up using those slopes and get it back to 100. So like, I really don't like the inconsistency, so I think I'm just gonna put this item in the tier. And I don't think I remember this item has the same bug as the big pumpkin or the big squash. So yeah, I think this one is still in the tier for me. Quick tackle, the tier. Let's see here. The next item is the growth potential. So growth potential will add 150 sparks in our fragment. So like, it is the spark that spread along the fragment runs, so you actually need to grab those sparks to be able to benefit from it. But if you don't grab those, this item will actually won't do anything. So it is not like this, what's the item, I keep forgetting it. So when enter fragment, what I need to see is when enter fragments. On enter fragments, 100 sparks. Oh, this, like this void compressor, you will immediately get those 100 sparks. But with this item, you actually need to get the sparks. While that's the case, it actually gonna be more beneficial for this spark pickup item, since you can get more sparks along the way. So yeah, it's really situational, but sometimes it's great, but most of the time this growth potential will gonna be worse than void compressor over here. So I think I'm just gonna put this item in C tier, like so. So yeah, this item, previously I was kind of confused when I first get it. So like, I see that it is plus 100 spark in fragment, but I thought that we actually gonna gain those sparks immediately when we enter the fragment, like we have on void compressor over here. But turns out it only gonna generate 150 sparks more in our fragments. So yeah, if this one really do get us immediate 150 sparks, it will actually perform better than this. But currently, in most situations, this actually gonna perform worse, since we actually need to grab those sparks around. So let's get on to our next items. Let's see here. The next item is instant compensation machine. On taking damage, we're gonna gain 10 sparks. Even though we gain sparks, but I really want to avoid any of taking damage items unless I'm having this impact activated healing drone. So this one, instant compensation machine, will actually went great with blood engine and impact activated healing drone combination, but by itself I don't want to grab that item. So the tier is for this instant compensation machine. The tier, so let's see here. Oh, we only have 2 items left. And I think after we've done all of these item reviews, I'm gonna do a 10 short run. Hopefully I can beat that boss again. So let's see here, this experimental thruster. So you're gonna gain 25% boost, but every time you do a non-perfect landing, you're gonna lose 5 health. This one, the boost is great, but the downside of it is really bad, and most of the time you can get those good landings every here and there, so like you really don't want to have this. And also the next item, the wingspan, I really don't like this item as well, even though the boost is really great, those 25% boost, but this will trigger on close calls. For some reason this and this will easily screw your run. So like in later fragments, in later shards, those obstacles will spawn even more, so you will gonna encounter those close calls even more as well. So like you will trigger this close call just as much as you can trigger this non-perfect landing. So for both of these items, even though they both are legendaries, I'm gonna give them a tiers. Even though they do give 25% boost on each of them, I still want to give each of them a E rank. So experimental, what's it called, thruster is A tier, and the wingspan is also A tier. So yeah, that's pretty much about all of this item, I suppose. So let's see over here. So how much items did we review in here? So let's see. So we reviewed 91 items in total. So we gave 6 S ranks, we gave 17 A ranks, we gave 25 for B's, 16 for C's, 70 for D's, and 10 for E's. So yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, I almost forgot, I actually want to speak a bit more about these 2 items over here. So like either they buff that boost that we get, or they just lessen the health amount that we're gonna lose. So before they do that, this item will gonna stick in the E rank, since like the cost of these items will gonna outperform the boost benefits. So yeah, with that, I think we're gonna wrap our item tier list, and let's go for a quick run, I suppose. So let's see here, let me just grab my controller real quick. Oh, the fever just left. No, this is not that. Where's my game? Let's close it and let's do a quick run, I suppose. So yeah, the ability I use is the cowl, so I actually use it really much lately, and I think I already got it why people love this item so much, since like, let's see here, you can get those landings readjusted using these cowls, and when you do get a really nice slope like that, you can actually gain really huge speed boost as well. And when you get hang of using this one, it will actually get easier to do most of the runs, but still you really need to watch out on that energy bars, and you don't want to waste all of that, since most of the time you really need a, let's see here, you really need some energy in spare so that you can use it later on. Oh, this one, oh, bonfires, those fragments over there is another bonfire over. I think let's just go on to the left one to get more sparks, and then go to the right over here. Hopefully we don't mess up. Let's just go up to this part. So the QR code there is actually because I'm using the, what is it called, the speed running modes from the workshop, so just ignore that. I forgot to turn that off. So previously I was just trying to check on the speedrun requirement for the full games, and they said that you need, oh, I messed up. They said that you need to activate those mods to be able to submit your runs. Oh, I really messed up big time in here, sorry about that. Hopefully we can still recover. Nope. No, we already lost that one. It's okay. So yeah, they require us to install that mod from the workshop. It is to do the auto split kind of thing. So I think it's enables them to verify our run easier and stuff. So let's, oh, I messed that one up, but thankfully the portal is right over here. We only got the rank, and let's see here, boost or health. I always go for the boost. And we gotta grab as many sparks as we can so that we can gain those boosts going. Use our ability. I keep messing up my landing here and there. Oops. Oh, we lost on so many sparks over here. So let's see here, I actually want to go over here, grab all of these sparks. That's great. We only got C, but it's okay. Let's see what can we spend over here. Portable Star, no. Ring Materializer, no. Oh, quick charger, always go for that. It's really nice to have some energy boost going, but I actually want to get those plutonium coins, since it is a more consistent Oop, I messed up that one. I messed up really badly on that one, sorry about that. So yeah, for the boss fight you actually want to get a more consistent energy going. Nice here. Oh, we only hit D since I messed up that one. We're gonna gain 20% more luck. Hopefully that can be helpful for us. Let's see here. Let's get over here. No, we lose on so many sparks, but as you can see, sparks sometimes spawns right in front of an obstacle like that bomb over there, and those bombs can really take a huge portion of your health, so you don't want to get hit by those. And also, while you get blasted by those bombs, you actually can be knocked away and lose portion of your speed, I suppose. So let's see. Let's get this ring. Oh, we actually get an A over there. So let's see here. Ouch! That was really bad. So you really don't want to miss this jump over here, since if you miss those you can actually land badly on there, so you can just dive into the abyss. So yeah, sometimes those sparks really misleading you and just gets you to an obstacles instead. So let's see here. I think we can be safe with B, I suppose. Oh, we actually still managed to hit an A over there. Oh, the trains. Oh, don't mess that one up. Oh no, the train has went really high. Stick on this landing. Oh, you went really fast. Let's see here. Can we go even faster? I think we can. So we've reached 160 meter per second, and we hit an S rank over there. So as you can see, those on fragment start gain 50 energy will really gonna help us, since we can have a energy head start and we can just spam our energy even until the end of this fragment run. So let's see here. Oh, we can get through this ring, get through this cactuses, avoid all of that. Oh, we hit those. It's okay. I think we actually want to get some survivability items next. We hit a tier over there. And let's grab as many sparks as we can. Oh, the corruption is already gaining on us. Let's flaps our wings again and again. Let's take this landing over here. Avoid all of that. Oh, also you can actually hit those fire sphere in that laser coliseum, and on my surprise, those sphere is actually solid. Let's see here. So what rank do we gonna get? Oh, we only hit A, and there. Oh, we have 3.5. Let's see here. Let's grab that. I suppose we just grab that. Ooh, fairly complicated coins. Let's grab that as well. Let's see here. Oh, we're raiding. So in this one, you want to grab as many, oh no, sparks as you can. No, 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 we failed that one. Oh, the spark boost is actually killing us there. So if you happen to complete that one, you're gonna gain 500 on top of the sparks that you've collected. So I actually want to collect as many as I can, but I forgot that we have this item here which gave us boost every time we collect those sparks, so we just went too fast for me to actually control that. So yeah, I kept bumping onto the walls like that. So let's see here, this we get the healing over here. So yeah, the taco there does not actually give us the healing like the big pumpkin or the big squash does. Oops, avoid the blast. Oops, nope, nope. Whoa. So we have 1.3 seconds thousand already. So oh, we have 1.7 in our possession. So let's see here. Another sparks. I think I grabbed both of these. Energy on sparks gain is really great. Oh, ouch. Oh, we're really low on our health. It's really concerning now. Hopefully we don't hit any more of these obstacles, since we really... ouch, no, I messed that one up. Hopefully I don't hit any of these rocks again. Nope, I hit the other rock, but thankfully it didn't break and deal damage to us. Let's try to avoid all of this. Ooh. Let's grab all of these sparks, and can we get blue? Yes. Let's grab all of these sparks as well. We want to grab as many sparks as we can so that we can buy as many items as we can. And ooh, sparks. Let's see what item can we get over here. Oh, impact activated drone is actually just grab this, and hopefully we can get that blood engine. Yeah, hopefully we can get that blood engine for our next item. So if we happen to get that, I think it is easily said that we already beat this boss, since oh, ow, since both of these will gonna grant us like huge amount of like a really huge amounts of boost. Ouch, why did I keep hitting that? Big ring, small world. So this one will require us to get through the middle of the ring, since the star is the middle of it. So for me personally, it's actually easier to do this challenge using the board, the career board I mean. Oh, I missed that one. Wait. Oh, we do regain energy. Wait. High risk investment triggering the spark furnace. And we have two of them, and we also get this overly complicated coin as well. Wait, I never noticed that. We complete the challenge. I think we already got our energy going quite well. Let's grab that. Let's grab that, and grab that as well, I suppose. Yeah, I think we pretty much already beat the boss at this point, so yeah, we got the invincibility, we got the boost, we got the sparks, we got... what do we got next? We got the heals, like so, yeah. I think all we need to do is get our Zoe's health back up to 100% so that it will trigger the next lock item thing. So let's see here, and look at all of my sparks over there. So I think I already have infinite energy going, so like so. Yeah, I think the boss is already... we can count the boss is defeated by this point. Like, I never knew that this item, high risk investment, is triggering on spark pickup. So like, oh, that was a discovery for me as well. So yeah. yeah, I think we can just skip that and go went through there as well. Ooh. Yeah, just went along this way. Speedrun. You can see that energy. It just keep refilling themselves like that. Like I just have to wait for a bit and. And the shoes is already glowing blue, and with that we finished our fragments over there. Let's see here, what do we want to get? No, we already got anything. Let's grab this one. Let's just put like that. We have 3000 in our possession. And what do we want? Ooh, let's just keep our sparks. Plutonium, always go for plutonium. Like, see, with plutonium it's even worse, I suppose. Like, at this point we're basically cheating. See? We even grab that grunt helmet. Like every time we do perfect landing, we're gonna be invincible. Another easy S rank there, and let's see, what do we want to spend? Oh, another coin. Let's grab another coin, I suppose. Another lock. Oh, I think I'm gonna grab this and that. So in this final boss, you can actually just roam around and all of your items will keep triggering like that. So as you can see, right at the top right corner, look at my sparks. It will keep triggering, and let's see how fast we can beat this boss over here. I always love that crispy stepping sound. I think it is too fast. Oh, luckily we are invincible. Yeah, this is a walk in the park, I suppose. Like that. Oh, we missed that one. We missed that one. What do we miss that one? So where the other 6 of her? So let's get it here. Ooh, good. We actually missed that one. It's okay, we can just turn back and hit that. So where's the others two? Look up there. Let's see where the line was going. It was over here. We only need to hit another one, and with that the boss is defeated. And people said this boss is hard. Well, it's actually hard, but our luck just carried us over in here. Well, let's enjoy our cutscenes a bit, so With that, we got 760 anti-spark. Ooh, our highest speed reach is 325. We hit 3 bad landings, we died 3 times, but we gained 15,000 sparks. Whoa, that's huge. So let's see what will happen if we keep running here. We got enough spark, we got enough energy, we got enough boost, so let's see how far can we get. So as you can see there, our boots, oh it's only white. I thought it gonna went rainbow, so the fastest boot color aura is rainbow, and I think it was around 200 boost or so. Yeah, this felt like a walk in the park, I suppose. Boom. We can barely fell that one. We can just zoom in through those bombs and not getting hit. Ooh, I'm a bird now. Let's hit those. Nope. So yeah, in this game you can actually beat it quite easily, I suppose, with enough knowledge of what item that you are supposed to get and when to get it. So let's see how much we can get for this after short run over here. Whoa, look at all those sparks. We've hit 10,000 already. And our speed is steadily at 300, which is really great. Let's fly around. Let's just fly around. Oops. When you run this fast, always notice where the portal is so that you does not miss the portal, since when you miss the portal you can still turn back to get it, but like if you went too far it's kinda hard to maneuver at this speed. Like ooh, it is this one. So here I meant that this thing is a solid. You can actually land on that ball. So yeah, you cannot land on that. So when will our boots glow rainbow? Haven't glowed rainbow, I suppose. It's still white. Almost. So I think that's about it for this stream. So thank you guys for watching, and for you guys that want to keep watching me getting as far as I can in this aftershock, you can keep watching, but I think I will mute my mic for now and just keep running over here. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you have anything to say about my item list, you can comment about it down below. If you want to check on the game for yourself, the link is on the description down below as well. And if you don't, let's see here. So if you still don't know whether it's suitable for you or not, the demo is still up, so you can also check on the demo as well. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and perhaps see you guys later in the next video. I want to land in this. Whoop. So let me just mute my mic. Where's the mute button?